Welcome back into Mining Stock Daily, everybody. We are getting a follow-up conversation with Ridgeline Minerals. Last full week of April, they did publish a new corporate update announcing almost a $10 million in partner-funded exploration budgets for both the Swift and Selena projects. So we're going to dive into and get a breakdown of what this all means with CEO Chad Peters. They do trade on the Venture with RDG and on the OTCQB with RDGMF, and obviously going to be joining here with Chad Peters, the one and only. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am pretty good. Well, congratulations. Another $10 million coming out in an exploration. Let's break this down. Can you break down that $10 million allocated between Swift and Selena, and what portion is earmarked for drilling versus surface work?
Yeah, you bet. Actually, the cool thing is 100% of exploration this year at both Swift and Selena is earmarked for drilling related expenses. So you're seeing 5.5 million being spent US, by the way. That's pretty important to note, given that the US exchange rate is pretty considerable. So 5.5 million is going in the ground at Swift. Drilling is starting in May. Going to be about 5 to 6 deep drill holes, both at the existing Southwest Swift discovery, where they drilled up to 10 grams per ton over a meter in the same host rocks that host all the mines in the district. And they're also going to be stepping out and doing some exploration at high priority targets that we really like and kind of wanting them to be tackling for a while now. So we're excited to see that moving ahead. And then we're seeing about 4.4 million US being spent at Selena. Drilling actually started on the RC pre-collars last week. So we'll get a press release out announcing that soon. But that's going to be, again, focusing on advancing and growing the discovery we made last year at Chinchilla Sulfide.
Nice. Very good. And how does this compare? How does this year's budget compare to last year's?
Well, it's actually it's the largest partner-funded budget in company history. So last year we had about I think it was an $11 million budget, but $1.5 million of that was funded by us, doing work at Big Blue and at our Atlas projects. This year we're seeing 9.9 being spent just on our own, or just on the partner projects. So it's a big spend. It's kind of important to point out that I actually think that Selena, South 32 will fund probably larger than a $4.4 million budget at the end of the day. But it's important to point out that they're actually going to satisfy their phase one earn-in of $10 million, probably 3/4 of the way through this year's program, and they weren't willing to put out a budget that was exceeded that 10 million, essentially, right? Because once we hit that phase one spend, then they have, I think it's 90 days to elect to enter into phase two, which would then take them to an 80% ownership, with Ridgeline retaining a 20% free carry to commercial production. So they, essentially they came in and said, look, 4.4 million is what gets us to the 10 million threshold. That's what we'll go live with right now, and we'll just see how the year goes. But they're very fired up about this project. Really, I've never, out of all of our partner projects, this one has seen the highest intensity of spending in the first 2 years of the deal out of any of them. So, cool. And I think we're onto a pretty significant CRD discovery at Selena. So it's exciting.
All right. Maybe let's talk about Selena. I also want to chat kind of the micro at Swift as well. But with the Selena CRD discovery, what are the specific grade and thickness thresholds that would trigger maybe an expanded budget, as you kind of noted there?
Yeah. No, I think like last year when we hit, we had an 8.7 meter intercept, a 17 meter intercept, and then another 8.7 meter intercept beneath that. So, I mean, from a thickness perspective, that certainly hits the minimum thresholds we're looking for thickness. But I want to see higher grade this year, right? So we were seeing very high grade zinc across our all of these intercepts, with lower grade silver. No, that's not a normal metal budget for Selena. Typically, Selena is anywhere from, typically we're seeing anywhere from kind of 200 to 500 grams per ton silver over 6 to 20 meter thicknesses, and then within that we would have credits of zinc, lead, and plus or minus copper and antimony and gold. But what we drilled last year close to the porphyry was actually a very high grade zinc enriched zone. So we think, as we're part of the reason we're kind of moving holes around, we have a wide spread of holes in the target area this year, the discovery area, is because we believe as we get farther away from the porphyry, you're going to see a zonation of the metals, and we should get back into higher grade silver pretty quick. So that's the goal. If we can get into that kind of similar thicknesses, but I'd like to see considerably higher silver grades, that'll be a big win.
Yeah. We all want to see higher grades here, Chad.
Yeah, totally.
If I may speak for the audience.
Yeah. We always do. Everyone always wants higher. Yeah. So
yeah. All right. let's talk about Swift as well. Obviously, that's the other piece of this puzzle in the headline. Uh, are you stepping out from previously drilled zones here with your friends at Nevada Gold Mines here, or how much meterage is planned? Kind of give us a breakdown of the drill program.
Yeah, you're going to see about somewhere between 5 and 6,000 meters drilled across those 5 to 6 holes. So they're about 1,000 meter drill holes each one, and we have 2 holes that are stepping out directly on strike on either side of the high grade hole 6, where we had 1.1 meters of 10.4 grams per ton. Obviously, that's narrower than we'd like, but the grade is exactly what you want to see. So if we can start getting into some higher grade structural traps and or thicker structural traps and start getting 5, 10, 15 meter intercepts of the same grade, that'll be an absolute rocket for that project. So, working in past discoveries in Nevada, it's funny how close you can be to. I've had holes at our McCoy Cove discovery that I was a part of back in 2016. You had holes that were 30 meters, a half a gram per ton, right? And then you drill 50
Mm.
meters over and you're into 30 meters of 9 grams per ton. So it's these things can turn on and off very quick. And the fact that we're getting these wide intercepts of low grade followed by narrow intercepts of high grade, it really shows that we're very, very close to something hopefully much bigger. And I think Nevada Gold Mines feels the same. So hopefully we tap into them pretty quick this year.
Yeah, a little bit of drama there with Barrick wanting to IPO their American assets and obviously having the partnership JV with Newmont there that does create Nevada Gold Mines. Chad, you got your ear to the ground there in Nevada. I mean,
Yep.
is this thing kind of put to bed? Is there anything that needs to kind of get settled before that IPO can happen? And does it affect any of their JVs that happen in the state?
Well, I think anytime you have that mom and dad fighting like they are, I think it can create sorry, it could create some problems. Luckily enough for us, the way we structure our deals is like, for example, this year they have to spend 5.5 million to get to their minimum threshold of 20 million US by December 31st, or I get 100% of the project back. With the amount of work and time and this evolving discovery at Southwest Swift, if I ended up getting the project back 100%, I'm not gonna cry over it, right? But I don't think that's gonna happen. They're really fired up about it. They're spending the money, but this year it's not going to affect us. Hopefully we hit something really exciting this year, and it kind of creates its own excitement within the organization, which will then push it into the next phase of drilling and growth. But right now, it's having zero effect on us. But we'll see where it all goes. It looks like there's kind of a little bit of gamesmanship going on between Newmont and Barrick at the moment. So see where it shakes out.
Okay. So their earn-in agreements continue to move forward. Can you kind of
Yeah.
break down where they're both at as far as that original earn-in agreement
Yeah, so we
and how
have
this?
we have a $30 million earn-in at Swift in 2 stages. So the first phase is a 5-year earn-in for $20 million US for 60%. Same thing way as Swift, they then have 90 days to elect if they want to proceed with phase 2 after that, which is another 10 million US to get them to 70%. Um, so if they then exercise all of that, they can also choose to earn an additional 5% by giving us a free carry to commercial production. So um, they're currently at 15 and a half or 14 and a half million out of that first 20 million spend for phase 1 at Swift. I fully expect them that their budget has been designed to meet that minimum threshold of spending this year. So I fully expect that to be executed. And then at our Black Ridge project, which is a $10 million earn in under the exact same kind of escalating terms, it's 4.5 million for the first 60% and another 5.5 million to get them back up to that 75% range. So that project has seen around 1.7 million spent so far. So there's no exploration budget plan this year, but they do intend to start drilling on it in 2027 is the goal. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
All right. With both flagship projects kind of fully funded by majors,
yep.
how does this change Ridgeline's treasury strategy and capital allocation this year? Anything that we need to be kind of watching out for on the periphery, such as Big Blue and any of the other projects within the portfolio?
Well, that's a good question. Like one thing that the whole reason we did these deals was to accelerate exploration and make discoveries without, and keeping the risk down for shareholders. Now that we actually have a very real discovery coming together at Selena and Swift, our goal is to kind of lean into those, right? Like we manage the exploration for the Selena project. We make about $150,000 a month doing that. US. So that covers all of our US operating expenses. Plus, we actually make money. So for the year, we're not planning on raising any money. We have over $4.5 million Canadian in tradable securities in our Spartan Metals deal that we did last year. That's a tungsten play that we spun out and took 20% ownership of Spartan on. So we can kind of the goal is to, eventually sell some of that stock, cash up the treasury a little bit, maybe get us down below 9.9%. So we're not a reporting issuer, but the main goal is we're cash flow positive as of April right now. We have shares that we can trade. Have no intention of raising any capital this year. I want to see these programs. I think they're very important programs at both projects, and hopefully they deliver some positive results. The stock starts moving in the right direction, and then we can then start raising more. Raise cash at a better valuation and start going after our 100% owned projects again. But in this kind of at the current valuation we're at, I'd rather just lean into the deals that we have and keep our cash burn low.
All right. So drills turning imminently there in Nevada. Yep. So obviously a little bit a ways away. It's not quick drilling. In fact, I think this stuff with South 32 at Selena taught me that it is rigorous drilling. It is tough. It is deep. But it doesn't go very fast.
It does not.
So what does the summer look like here, Chad? Like, what are you and I gonna chat about other than baseball and Stanley Cup and the other stuff? Specifically the Ridgeline.
That sounds good to me. We're gonna have pretty regular updates going throughout the summer. We're pre-collaring these holes with down to 2,000 feet at Selena, which means we can get there very fast and very cheap. And we essentially case off the hole with steel. We then can come in with a core rig and drill the rest of the hole with core. Hopefully we should be into the, a potential zone in the first hole by kind of end of May into early June, and hopefully assays shortly after that.
Okay, awesome. All right, Chad, thanks so much for your time. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. It's been a while, and look forward to having our next update. We'll try to get that out in the next few weeks, but we'll talk to you then.
Sounds good, Ben. See you.
All right. Ridgeline Minerals trades on the Venture with RDG and on the OTCQB with RDGMF. The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.